Hello and welcome to Thought Fox Writer's Den. I'm Lara Ehrlich, the founder and director of Thought Fox, and I am excited to show you around. So here, let me give you a tour of the space. This will be the wall where I will share supporters' names. I did a Kickstarter to found Thought Fox, and soon everyone's names will be up there on the blackboard. And if we follow over here, we're entering some cozy seating arrangements for writers and event participants to make themselves comfortable. And this is a little fireplace that we'll have on in the wintertime as the mill gets a little chilly. Moving along here, this is the retail space that features retail by local artisans. It's all writing-related retail. And coming along to the wall, this was one of the first things I put up here at Thought Fox was this wallpaper. Just to give a sense of the vibe, I'm going for a dark academic with an edge vibe. And you can see that reflected in the wallpaper and the dark green walls. I have a little coffee bar over here. And above that is the poem by Ted Hughes, from which we took the name Thought Fox. It's a poem called Thought Fox, and it's about inspiration, writerly inspiration. Here we have a little library of books that writers can reference while they're here in the space, and a typewriter that the kids particularly like to type on. This is the featured artist wall, and this artist will change every few months. This is the first one. It's actually also my mother's work, Pamela Ehrlich, and those are traditional icons painted with gold leaf, and that's her Saints of the Sea series. And then here we have our big oak table that seats approximately 10 folks, and we're almost at capacity with seating, so I'm planning to bring in a comfortable couch to put up against that back wall, so you'll see some changes at Thought Fox within the coming months as well. But this is where we sit to have drop-in write-in sessions where we all just sit and write together. We have in-person workshops and events and classes and one-on-one coaching, so that all happens here at this table. And here's some just Halloween-related products as well, just to give a sense of the season. And we'll talk more about Halloween and some of the events coming up soon. And again, just a little station with more writing-related products, some pens by a local artisan, and more artwork by Pamela Ehrlich here in this little cabinet. So the intention really is to have a vibrant, inspiring place that is inviting and has a lot to look at and engage with and inspire writers to do their work here at this table and in these comfortable chairs. Welcome.
Hello and welcome to Books and Beyond. I'm your host, Jimmy Bennett. Books and Beyond is the show where we help people personify their aspirations. And I have a very special show today, as you already know, as Lara Eldridge has introduced herself. We're at the Thought Fox, a writer's den at the Velvet Mill in Stonington, Connecticut. And the Velvet Mill is a kind of a neat place. It's a very eclectic collection of restaurants, breweries, shops. Mm-hmm. But this, I think, by far, is one of the most distinctive shops in the building.
Thank you.
And so I'd just like to know, how did you come about doing this, and what brought you to there?
Yeah, so I've been teaching writing and writing myself for as long as I can remember. And I had taught writing at centers throughout the country, virtually and in person. And in about January, I left the full-time job that I'd had for a while. I've always had a full-time job.
Right.
And just decided that it was time to strike out on my own and bring all of these ventures together under my own shingle, if you will. So I decided to create an in-person center here at the Velvet Mill. The Velvet Mill, as you said, is a very vibrant community of artists and business owners. And within the last couple years, since the quarantine sort of ended, people are really hungry for in-person connections and experiences. So this building has really come to life in the last year or two. And it seemed like exactly the right place for this type of venture.
I believe it is. It's a great space here. You're in the South
South Studios.
South Studios.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. because it is rather large,
It
and
is.
you can
It
wander
is.
around quite a bit.
Yes.
Um, I used to come here actually and do book signings uh, at farmers market a couple of years
Right.
ago before the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and then then everything sort of just
Yeah.
shut down for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
so now I know you're an author.
I am.
Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so my book is called Animal Wife. It's a collection of short stories about women's transformations from girls to women to wives and mothers and to mythical beasts and
Yeah,
monsters. So it's sort of magical realist, grounded in our own reality, and it's right back here at the studio as well. It won Red Hen Press's Fiction Award in 2020 and came out that year, right at the beginning of the pandemic.
yeah,
So I did a lot of virtual events and book tours that way,
right,
but which was great because I connected with a lot of
yeah,
people that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did a lot of Zoom shows during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them as much as in person,
Yeah.
obviously. But one big advantage is it gave you a broader audience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could have people from India
Right.
on your show. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's pretty neat that way. So now, what are your activities here? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, it's the in-person center has been open since about April or May. Before that, I started an online version to get my feet wet. But now that we have this in-person space, we're sort of the sky's the limit. So I'm just starting out. We're doing a lot of classes, so one-session classes, building up to multi-session classes. For example, one is coming up that will be a novelist's workshop, an ongoing workshop to help people stay motivated and inspired as they work through a large-scale project. We'll do readings and book groups, critique groups, some sort of just fun writing related events like maybe a writing related board game night where we play Scrabble, for example. So, really, I'm also reaching out to partners in the community and to anyone interested in the written word and storytelling to learn what people are really excited for and looking for, and then incorporating that into the offerings.
Right.
And I also offer one-on-one coaching. So just before you got here, I was meeting with a writer who's working on a fantasy series, and we sat down together, and I gave him some feedback and some edits, and so we do a lot of that. And I'm looking to engage more deeply with young people as well. So connecting with the schools in the area to bring in some English classes and some young writers as well. So really just excited to do anything and everything
Right.
that is related
I think
to
that's
storytelling.
I think that's a good
Yeah.
point, bringing in the young people, because
Mhm.
I wanted to write when I was young, and
Yeah.
it was one of those things, and I did.
Mhm.
I used to do a lot of writing, but there wasn't a lot of, I want to say, feedback or encouragement from. I mean, you had creative writing, like English class. You had to write an essay.
Right.
Oh, that was a fantastic essay, but they didn't push you to move on with it or do something with it. And I think that that's kind of important. I think there's a lot of talent out there. I'm one of those people, and this is part of what I do on Books and Beyond. I believe that almost everybody has a talent.
Sure.
They just haven't found it, or don't use it, don't do it. And part of, like, what you were talking about was motivating people along is like, well, CAPA, the Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association. You were the speaker at their last month, and it gives people inspiration and stuff, but not the kind of one-on-one critiquing or stuff to help people motivate along.
Right.
I've noticed, just as an example, of a friend of mine, Larry Zaccaro, you met, who's actually turned one of my books into a screenplay. When he hooked up with a coach, he's got somebody that tells him, when he's writing these screenplays, well, this character needs a little bit more depth, or this, you need to put a little bit more in that, or, you need to back off on this a little bit. And that's very, very important. Because, I mean, even I know myself, I've written 4 books, but it's all been by the seat of my pants. I just go through it, and then sometimes I find glaring mistakes at the end, or things that just don't work right, or, And, it's some time or another, I might be sitting here across from you, but when I'm working on my next one.
Sure.
And I like the idea of you helping somebody go through an entire novel because it's a hard thing, and it's hard for people, I think, alone to stay motivated. Sometimes writer groups help a lot, and I encourage people. If you want to write, the first thing I always tell everybody is, how do you write a book? I say, you write. You have to sit
Yeah.
down and do it. That's number one. That's the discipline. You have to take the time to sit down and do it. You can't just, gee, I want to be a writer. You have to write. And then after that, though, there's so much more to it,
Yeah.
as you know.
Oh, sure.
So, and you also do editing, and I saw that.
Yeah. Yep. I'm an editor as well. Most of my career, my day jobs have been in editing and writing. And I strongly believe everybody needs an editor, even editors, even writers. Every single person needs an editor. So that's really what I intend to be for people, whether they're just starting out or like yourself, have 4 or 5 books under their belt. Really just to be a supportive force for them. And I certainly don't tear people down or their manuscripts. I don't tear their manuscripts apart. It's really a collaboration and a conversation where an author has a vision for the book that they want to write or the story or essay they want to write. And it's my job to help them bring that vision to life as clearly and effectively as possible.
Yep.
So that's what I see my role as being. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think something just popped into my head. I remember I was working. I'm a chef, by trade, and I remember I was working at a country club up in Rye, New Hampshire one time, and the chef looked at me and he popped me on the side of the head and he said, you have it all up here, all that creativity, he goes, but it doesn't come out here. You know what I mean? And he says, you got to figure out how to make it go from here to here. And that's a nice thing to help people do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know, a good editor also doesn't impose their vision for the story on someone's work. So I would never sit with somebody and say, well, I think it should, if you're writing high fantasy, I think it should really be science fiction instead. And here's what I think. No, it's about learning really what your intentions are and then helping you really bring them to the surface.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then you have a lot of, you have guest writers come in too, right?
I do, yes.
Authors come and, do you do seminars?
Yep, seminars. We had Ann Hood here a few weeks back who gave a wonderful flash fiction workshop, and it was very intimate. It was Ann Hood and I think 10 other writers. So that type of workshop, and then all the way up to a virtual workshop that can accommodate the sky's the limit for how many people can attend that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to bring in other writers, lift up emerging writers in that way as well, and instructors who are looking for experience. And yeah, so you can look on the website. I have a list of faculty or instructors.
What is your website, by the way?
Oh, it's thoughtfox.org.
Okay. Thoughtfox.org.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because that's important. I know that you got a list of upcoming events and seminars and how to join up and what is she? It's kind of a wonderful thing. I mean, it's a nice cozy spot.
Thank you.
I do find I've been reaching out a little bit more even beyond Kappa, doing a few workshops and stuff. But a lot of it is I like to see other writers. I like to see people. And I was surprised. I mean, at the age differences. I mean, younger and there was a lot of younger people, and those are the ones I'd like to really see.
Yes.
Develop.
Yes.
But it's it also too. I think there's a big reality to writing. Is a lot of people have that thought in their head that I'm going to write a book. I want to send it off to an editor. I'm going to make a lot of money.
Right.
This is going to be my life. This is going to be great. And it just really is not that easy.
No.
Not even close to it.
No, it's a very hard discipline.
It's the marketing and stuff. I've read a lot of wonderful books from different people in Kappa and stuff like that, local authors and stuff, which I thought were fantastic. But They're still out schlepping, you know, selling books here and there. It's a hard road to get into. But
It is.
part of it though is I think is that if you really want to write, you'll write.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I've often said if I just leave one book up on the bookshelf that my great grandchildren might read or see, then in fact, I used to joke, I'm in the Library of Congress now, so I'm eternal. I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
So, right? Don't have to be good or bad. I'm in. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing. So tell me a little bit about what you have coming up.
Right. Well, in November, I have a month-long series of events and just free writing time and things like that for NaNoWriMo. So for anyone who doesn't know what that is, I'll forget what the actual acronym stands for, but it's a month in the year, November, during which you write a full novel. It's 50,000 words is the goal. And it is very daunting, but the idea really is just to write a certain number of words a day without thinking about it, without going back and editing, without getting too caught up in whether it's working or not, and just get 50,000 words down on paper or on your laptop. And so we are doing a kickoff event on November 1st that will include some guided meditation from a local interdisciplinary artist named Jessica Cirillo. And we'll start upstairs in the Velvet Mills President's Suite. This is the former president back when the Velvet Mill was founded. And it's this beautiful room with Persian rugs and things like that. And she'll just help us relax and feel calm because this, again, is sort of a daunting process.
Right.
And then we'll come down here and we'll spend some time just writing together in community, working on our own projects. And then we'll have daily check-ins on a platform called Discord, which is an online, sort of like Zoom.
Yep.
And we'll be there writing together every morning at 6 a.m. And then some other times we'll come in as well as people volunteer to host other sessions.
Wow.
And we'll do in-person check-ins. And really just the idea is to have fun, to work through a project, and to support each other and keep each other motivated. Yeah.
I have to say, I like the idea of learning the meditative disciplines.
Yeah.
Because one thing I found, life catches you up, and in between taking out the garbage and, thinking about what's for dinner
Right.
and what I got to do at work the next day and stuff like that. Sometimes I just can't pop my head into that mindset because, I write about the early 1900s, so I have to sort of, pop my head into that time, to write. And it's hard sometimes to just break away from that. And I thought
Absolutely.
to myself, it might be bad if I learned, just, maybe to take 5 minutes to clear my head and, go about it. Because a lot of times if, you've got things going, I say, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write, and then I'd sit down and then you're still like, oh yeah, tomorrow I gotta.
Yeah.
It's just, oh boy, I gotta go put the laundry in the dryer. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's daunting that way. It's getting that pure writing time, writing frame is kind of hard at times.
It is. It is, yeah. Yeah, and that's sort of the thinking behind this space too, is I designed it with the intention that people could come in and feel sort of divorced from their realities for a little while and enter a space that feels enclosed and comfortable and inspiring and sit here without worrying about the laundry or what to make for dinner. Yep. And I myself have a 7-year-old daughter, so I'm very familiar with other things that can steal me away from my writing. Yeah.
Well, it's probably like working out. You can have a full gym in your downstairs, but you never seem to get to it. But if you go to the YMCA every morning, you exercise on a regular basis.
Right. Yes. Especially if you have friends and a community who are cheering you on.
Right.
And that's something I should have mentioned earlier is really the mission of Thought Fox is also community building. So community building through storytelling. And this is meant to be an inclusive, diverse space where anyone can feel comfortable coming in and sitting and either talking or writing. And And I'm reaching out to partners throughout Connecticut as well. So if any viewers have ideas for partnerships, I'm always looking for ways to engage beyond the walls here at Thought Fox.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're teaching a class now, right?
Right. Yep. I teach at UConn Avery Point, undergrad composition. So I have about 4 other jobs
Yeah.
to help keep Thought Fox up and running.
Right.
So if there are any donors out
Yeah.
there, sponsors, that's also something I should start doing soon. But
So what is what does your class entail? What does composition entail? Is it story writing
yes. Well, so it's freshman composition, and it is my class specifically is for students who are not English majors. So it's a required class, which is a really exciting challenge and responsibility, I think, to introduce students to composition and English and communication in a way that feels relevant to them, even though they're not English majors. So our guiding inquiry for the class, and pretty much I can design this however I like, which is very creative and wonderful. Our guiding inquiry is on voice. So it is, how do we find our authentic voice and then use it to impart social change? So it has a social justice angle as well. And we're looking right now at bias in the media and thinking about what types of content come through our social media channels and why is it there, who created it, what did they want us to think, and really just thinking then how we can use our voices, our powerful voices, to create change in this world. So I think they're surprised often that English classes can embrace those types of questions and that kind of content.
Yeah.
They're very used to high school where you often read a story and then write a paper about the story.
Right.
And they sort of felt a disconnect between why they were doing that if
Right.
they want to go on to be an electrical engineer. So that's the bridge I'm trying to, the gap I'm trying to bridge.
Writing can be well, as you know, it's a powerful force.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
If you believe passionately in something, you can write well about it. It really makes it.
Yeah.
You can make as you know, throughout history, it's made some big differences.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
yes. We're looking at movements that started with a single voice.
Yep.
Or a hashtag, as the case may be now. So we're looking at Black Lives Matter and Me Too, and how these movements can start with a single person who finds a way
Right.
to communicate a point that
Yep.
engages others. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's good. So,
Yeah.
do you like teaching?
I love teaching.
Yeah.
And it's something that snuck up on me. I always wanted to be a writer and an author. I never really considered teaching. And then somehow over the years, I just became engaged with teaching, specifically writers at first.
Right.
And I love teaching writers, where you and I met at the library at a class. And that's a very different energy, where you have people who are there because they want to tell stories. They're deeply engaged in the process
Right.
already. But I'm finding that I equally love, if not maybe even more love, teaching these kids who have no interest or very little interest in writing, and see them kind of discover what writing can be, and the fact that they have authority and power even though they're 18, 19 years old. So I love
think it's a good thing. I admit I'm an old man, but social media and stuff like that. It seems to me, I see a lot of younger people, scrolling through their phones, and it's just they're taking in so much information every day, but they're not really stopping to think about
Right.
what it means
Yep.
and how they feel about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just move on to the next thing,
Yep.
and I really feel it's like reading. A lot of people reading is sort of dropped down. It doesn't seem like people read as much as they used to,
Right.
because of that. Because social media, everything's right there. Everything's just thrown in your face.
Right.
But you can't really take it in. You can't. I mean, I've written lines in books that have changed my life or changed my
Right.
entire
Yeah.
thinking. It might just be one line in one book. All of a sudden, it just hits you like, wow. And that's important. And I want to see that
Yeah.
continue on. And I'd like to see the young people, discover this a little
Oh,
bit
yeah,
more.
absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, it's all of us. I mean, I'm very
Yeah.
guilty of scrolling on my phone
Oh
at
yeah,
night and
yeah,
seeing things in my feed and not really wondering why they're there or what algorithm
yeah,
brought this content to me, or looking at who created it or why or what message they're hiding within this
yeah,
content. So, yeah, it's teaching the students has really actually also taught me a lot about how I consume media.
right.
And it's something that we all should be very aware of,
Yeah,
especially leading into this coming election and
yes,
with what we see online right now about Hamas and all of the
yeah,
other situations that get filtered and curated down to us.
right,
And often we don't look beyond the headline or the social content.
right. It's important.
It
You're right.
is.
There's so many aspects to everything that you really need to learn more about what's going
Oh,
on
yeah.
before, you know. I don't know. I hope. I'm hoping that people. I mean, I'm encouraged though when I do see, like I said, at those writing classes, a few things. There was
Yeah.
quite a few young people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was encouraged by that. I said,
Me
wow. I
too.
mean, that's because generally I've noticed that, especially in our Kappa group and stuff, people are generally up there,
Yeah.
60s and above.
Right.
And I don't know if it's because a generational thing that they grew up reading books, or they just have the time to write now, which is a lot.
That
You
might be
know,
too. Yeah.
oh, it's. I think it's a
Yeah.
big factor. I mean, like you say, making that time to write is you've got to really eke it out. You
Yep.
got to try to do it. You
You've
got
got
to
to
want to do
really
it.
want it. Yep.
Yeah, you got to want to do it, and
Yep.
it's kind of hard at
It
times.
is. Yeah.
To do it. I've been a little slack myself lately, but I'll get back into it.
Oh,
I
you
just,
will. Yeah.
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 I got a few projects going, and so
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with it and stuff. And Halloween's going to be a big night around here, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So the 28th, or this coming weekend, the 28th and 29th, is a mill-wide Halloween celebration. So I don't remember what time it starts, but it's an all-day event for both days. There will be bounce houses for the kids, vendors, there will be tarot card readings, and themed snacks and drinks at all of the local restaurants and such. And then Thought Fox will be open as well. And yeah, and I've got my pumpkin over here with some
Yeah.
candy. So yeah, so
Yeah.
the mill does not just at Halloween, but for a lot of the big holidays, they'll do this sort of mill-wide events, and they're
Yeah.
a lot of fun. We used to come to them before I even had Thought Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the farmers markets. One thing I always thought, and I imagine they still allow people to bring their dogs, right?
They do, yes. Yeah.
And I remember how many dogs were.
Yes, the
You
mill
know.
is very dog friendly, and
Yeah.
most of the time I have, well, it's over there right now, but a dog bed here, and my dog Coco is here about 80% of the time.
Oh,
Not
okay.
today,
So you
but
do have a dog. Okay.
I have a dog, a den dog.
Yeah.
She's very calm and friendly, so if you're afraid of dogs, you can still
Yeah.
come in. Yeah,
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
yeah. It's
Ah.
nice to bring a pet to work.
Yeah, I haven't met Coco yet, but I'll have to.
You'll have to
swing by
come
one
meet
of these,
Coco. Yeah.
And any other big things you got coming up, or you want to?
Let's see. Well, lots of classes coming up. I think November will be mostly devoted to NaNoWriMo, but I also will mention that you don't need to participate in NaNoWriMo to do any of the events that we'll be hosting in November. So if you're writing an essay or a short story or a dissertation or anything really that you'd like to come and work on, it's not an exclusive club. It's welcome to all. So come on in and hang out. So we'll do that. And then I will definitely be planning some sort of winter themed activities, holiday themed activities.
Right.
So yeah, really just trying to bring a lot of people in. And as you said, all ages, all backgrounds, whether or not you've written anything before, all are welcome.
Yep. Good.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm looking forward to it. As you said, I just think it's a great concept.
Thank you.
A wonderful spot.
Thank you.
And I'm wishing you all the best with this, and hope to do a little participating myself
Yeah, please do.
down the road.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll be back,
Yes,
uh,
please.
do a few more interviews and stuff. So
Absolutely.
it's good.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well,
It's been
thank
such
you
a
so
pleasure.
much. Thank you so much for having me
Yeah.
into your writing home here.
Absolutely.
I really
Anytime.
appreciate it. Nice to get out of the studio once in a while.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for Books and Beyond this time. We'll see you the next time. Take care.